I know you're skeptical. There's no way I know anything about the problems you face as an older guitarist. Look at me, what would I know, right? But I'm gonna try to change your mind, okay? Here's the thing, when I got my master's degree and I started teaching guitar to kids, I did everything by the book. Kids are basically indestructible. Even their head grows back, as my uncle used to say. All right, maybe this is a little bit too morbid, but the thing is, about 5 years ago, I started teaching older students, adult beginners, and intermediate students ranging from 25 to over 70 years old, and I realized that these method books are very, very idealistic, and I needed to approach teaching completely differently from then on. Currently, all my guitar students are over 40 years old, and the average viewer of this channel is over 65, and I'm not getting any younger either. So I decided it's time to talk about the problems older students like you may face as a guitarist and share some possible solutions I've found while exclusively teaching adults. The first couple of things I wanted to mention as like common problems older guitarists face are going to be less flexible or less curved fingers, joint pain, and shaky hands. These are very, very common problems. I actually also have a recurring pain in this joint of my thumb. And I think as players get older, warming up and stretching become much more important, because if I sit down and start playing straight away, my technique might manage it, probably it will manage, but I will pay the price hours later, maybe 1 hour later or 6 hours later, I don't know. I'm gonna pay the price later. I actually made a warm-up / stretching video last year, including some exercises without the guitar, and I think that's an important first step because it lets you stretch your hands without any restrictions and you can really feel what you're doing. And you need to learn to play as relaxed as possible with minimal stress. Now obviously you can't play completely relaxed all the time, right? There are challenging, hard parts in the music you play, but every time you play something tense, it should be followed by some kind of resolution so you can relax before the next challenge comes, right? So you need to learn to use the little pauses in music and train your body to let go of the tension immediately. Okay, if I were to play La Glima, for example, it would sound something like... Don't worry, we're jumping back to the example in just a few seconds, but as you probably know, private lessons are the quickest way to improve your playing, so let me tell you quickly about today's sponsor, Till. Regardless of your style and skill level, with Till you can take live online lessons from top guitar teachers like professors from Berkeley, USC, and performers on world stages. And for a limited time, if you use my link below, you'll get $20 off your first lesson. Now, Till is great because it's easy to sign up, find a teacher, and learn from the comfort of your home. Every lesson is recorded so you can rewatch it anytime you need, and you can choose between private lessons or group classes with other students. So if you want to improve faster, click the link in the description and get $20 off your first lesson on Till. And now we're jumping back to the lesson. Okay, if I were to play La Glima, for example, it would sound something like... Okay. This sounds super weird, like I'm playing a completely different piece. It's in a different key, so I don't know, it's weird. Anyhow, so if I wanted to play La Glima again, I could go and hold it. And actually by this time I start to feel like I'm tensing up because I haven't released any tension so far. La Glima and each pieces have some sort of natural phrasing. So here we have... And this little part, this little closure here will allow me to reduce the pressure in my left hand, for example, and start picking a little bit more gently. And that's what I mean by relaxation. I don't mean to put down the guitar and sit for a couple of minutes before you play the next bar. Release the tension without completely releasing the strings and the notes. Tension, release. And actually, there's a little phrasing point there where I completely relaxed both of my hands. I had that one moment where I could release it. Relax. Relax. Tension. Relax. And here, none of my hands are doing anything. So while I'm changing position, I can completely relax my left hand and my right hand too. And after the bar chord section, compared to those bar chords, this single note is pretty easy. So you don't need to apply as much pressure and as much strength to do that single note, right? So basically it's almost like a relaxation point. This is what I mean by utilizing the opportunity to relax your fingers and hand within the music. This was actually a pretty good segue to take us to the next point, because the next thing adult players, especially beginners, often struggle with is going to be ballet chords or bar chords. They are hard to learn and also they are difficult to teach. And usually the first ballet chord we encounter is an F major chord in the first position, which happens to be one of the most difficult one actually. So it's definitely not the best one to start with. But I'd say if you are having difficulties with ballet chords, take one step back and instead of trying to figure out the good position for your first finger, try to build them up from below. So for example, start covering just 2 strings at a time at first, and see if it sounds right, see if it sounds clear, see if it's comfortable, like as comfortable as a ballet chord can get. And once you have a nice and clear sounding ballet on just two strings, you can add another, you can add another string and you can, practice covering just 3 strings, and then another one to cover 4 strings, and then the 5th string, and then the 6th string. But please don't rush it and just take your time to lay down some, good solid foundations. Try to practice slowly and relax your hand between these attempts. Last year I also have made a video about teaching bar chords, but I also have one really good bar rate exercise in my favorite 11 exercises video, which you can also find in a booklet form now on Amazon and in my shop. Next, we need to talk about fretting and plucking hand inaccuracy, as they are a common challenge for adult learners. So fretting hand inaccuracy is often linked to shaky hands or less flexible fingers when you can't curve or extend them properly. As I mentioned it before, this can be improved by warming up before your practice sessions and stretching regularly with or without the guitar, and by practicing slowly and very intentionally. But there's more you can do. To improve right hand accuracy, I invite you to try to use this practice technique called planting. Planting is basically a picking technique where you put the finger you're going to use next to the string that you're going to pick next. So like preparing the finger on the string before you would even pick it. This planting has to be very gentle. You want to do it very effortlessly. So it's not like pushing the string or anything, you just gently put it back and prepare it for the next movement. And I really love to practice with planting because it's the best way to teach my right hand where exactly the strings are, where my right hand finger placement should be. And if you want to learn how to do planting properly, because it also can get a little bit tricky, you know, to do it really effortlessly and relaxed. So if you want to learn it, I really invite you to just look it up, look up a couple of videos on YouTube. You probably can find something or take a couple of lessons with a professional teacher. But also my 11 exercises video include a couple of examples of how to do it right. On the other hand, to improve fretting hand accuracy, you'll likely need to rethink your practice sessions entirely. And please don't hate me for saying that, but maybe you need to be stricter with yourself, like don't move on when you hear sloppiness. And next time when you practice, slow down and really listen to see if your playing actually sounds good or if you're just messing around. And you know, messing with the guitar is fine, but you can't have the best of both worlds, right? If you want to just have fun, don't expect to become David Russell. But if you want to become David Russell, you need to approach each of your inaccuracies and difficulties with a problem-solving attitude. You can't expect them to magically resolve themselves if you just practice more and spend more time on the instrument. Before we move forward, I just wanted to gently remind you that if you enjoy this video or the channel in general, please consider supporting my work on Patreon, because it helps me a lot to keep making these educational videos or the music videos or the podcasts. I have a podcast named Oh Sheet, and I think it's one of my best works. So if you like any of the things I'm doing, consider supporting my work on Patreon. The next one I wanted to talk about is memorization, because many older students struggle with this. But what I found out about myself is that I can't remember something I don't fully understand. I like to spend some time to analyze the pieces I'm learning from different angles. I need to analyze the melody a little bit. I need to spend some time to understand the chords or the structure of the piece. It doesn't have to be like very academic analysis, right? So you can just sit down and check for the chords the piece uses or how long the melody lasts. And when you make an analysis, you can try to be as pragmatic or as detailed as you want to be, but you can just be more emotional. Like, for example, this section reminds me of my 8th birthday party, or the B section is like, I don't know, the mountains behind my grandma's old house. So the more details you can point out, and the more you structure it in your head, the more it will make sense to you and the more you can recall it. I think everybody is capable of making some kind of analysis of pieces. Obviously, it's going to look much differently if you're a complete beginner and if you're an advanced level player with, I don't know, a master's degree in composition. But everybody is capable of doing some kind of analysis. And if this topic is interesting for you, please let me know, and maybe I can make a video about this, how I would approach this on the different levels. Yeah, let me know. Okay, but finally, patience is maybe the biggest challenge I always see. People often have these dream pieces they want to learn and want to be able to play one day, and they are always unhappy with where they are at the moment because they're just not there yet. Okay, you practice for 7 years and finally you can play Asturias. Great, good job. Now what, right? So you see the problem with these ones, the long-term goals, you know, these one-time goals that I'm going to be able to play Asturias one day. It takes the joy away from the whole process. You need to set realistic goals, but also focus more on the progress and learn to appreciate the small details, the process, the journey, and you need to learn to find joy in just making 4 notes sound beautiful. All right, so these are the most common challenges and problems I see older guitarists face. Please let me know in the comments what other tips you have for older players, fellow older players. Hey guys, editor Betty here. I mentioned several resources over the video, so I decided to put together a playlist where you can go through the most important ones in order. So it includes warm-up without guitar, stretching, the 11 exercises, and finally I added 2 more. One about how to structure your practice session and one about musicality. And I touched on many points related to these videos, so I think you'd only benefit from going through them one topic at a time, obviously. So you'll see a playlist popping up on the screen somewhere, but also don't forget to check out Till for online lessons, and be sure to use my link for a discount if you do so. Alright, thanks for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.